Good morning, everybody. So today we're going to work on lesson 5.4, and we're going to work on division of decimals by whole numbers. And our essential question that we should be able to answer by the end of our lesson is, how can we divide decimals by whole numbers? And so we're on page 221 of the 5th grade Go Math textbook. So let's look at the unlock the problem. So in a swimming relay, each swimmer swims an equal part of the total distance. Brianna and three other swimmers won a relay in 5 and 68 minutes. What is the average time each relay team member swam? All right, so let's underline the question. That's the information we need to find. Now, what is the important information we need? Well, we know that they won the relay in 5 and 68 minutes. So how much did each person on the team swim? Well, it says Brianna and three other swimmers. So how many swimmers are part of the relay team? 4 swimmers. All right. So one way we can do this is to use a model and place value or place value. So here we have a model, and 5 and 68 minutes divide by 4. And so when we look at this, we have 4 equal groups of 1 and 42 hundredths. 1 and 42 hundredths. So they took the 5 and 68 minutes and are sharing it with 4 groups or 4 swimmers. So how would that look if we were actually dividing it? Well, first we would share the ones. Can we share 5 ones with 4 groups? Sure. Okay, we would have 1, right? So we would divide 5 ones by 4. We would multiply 4 times 1, and we get a product of 4. We're going to subtract the 4 from the 5, and that would leave us 1, 1. We can't share 1, 1 among 4 groups, so we're going to have to regroup. So in the next step, we'd break down the 6/10, and so we'd think of this as 16/10, and we're going to divide 16/10 by 4 groups. 4 times what is 16? Well, 4 times 4, right? 4 times 4/10 is 16. So 16/10 minus 16/10. Well, that's just 0, right? So we know we can't share 0 among 4 groups. So now we're going to move to the hundredths. So right now we know we have 1 and 4/10, and we have 8 hundredths still left to divide or to share. So we have 8 hundredths divided by 4 groups. 4 times what is 8 hundredths? 4 times 2 hundredths. 4 times 2 hundredths is 8 hundredths. If we subtract 8 hundredths, take away 8 hundredths, we'd be left with 0. And we can't share 0 with 4 groups, and there aren't any more numbers to bring down in the dividend, so we're finished. So we would place the decimal point straight up from where it's at, okay, because we're dividing by a whole number. So we're taking a number that's in the hundredths place and dividing by a whole number, so my answer has to be in the hundredths. So each person swam an average of 1 and 42 hundredths minutes. Okay, so that's one way. Okay. Let's look at another way. So using another way, would divide as if we had just whole numbers. All right. And first we're going to use an estimate. Okay, this will help us with placing the decimal point. So if we divide $40.89 by 47, we can estimate that as 4,000 hundredths, because $40 times 100 would be 4 thousandths. So we're going to divide 4,000 hundredths by 50. So 47 is close to 50. 50, 4,000 divided by 50 is a simple number to do because 8 times 5 is 40. So we would have 80 hundredths or 80 cents. So this here, that's going to tell me that my answer is going to be less than 1 whole. Okay, so that should help me with placing the decimal. All right, so we're going to start by dividing the tenths. Okay, so in this case, if we look at this as 408 tenths divided by 47, well, that's going to be less than 1 whole because I can't take, right here, I can't take 40 and divide by 47. So we're going to instead take 40 and 8 tenths and change that to 408 tenths. So 47 times what would be close to 47? Well, again, we know that 47 is close to 50. So I'm going to try 8. Okay, so I'm going to go 47 times 8. And that gives me 376. Well, that would work. Okay. Let's subtract that and see if our remainder is less than the divisor. So 8 take away 6 is 2. I can't take 7 from 0, so I'm going to have to regroup. And 10 take away 7 is 3. So 32 is less than 47, and I can't share 32 with 47 groups. So we do have 8 there. Okay. And now we need to bring down the 9 hundredths. So we have 329 divided by 47. In my head, I'm thinking, what number times 7 would end in a 9? Well, if I skip count 7s, 7, 14, 21, 28, 35, 42, 49. Okay, so 49 ends in a 9, right? So maybe it's 7. Let's try 47 times 7. 7 times 7 is 49. Regroup that as 4 tens and 9 ones. 7 times 4 is 28, plus 4 more is 32. So that does match. So we're going to put 7 there. So 7 times 47 is 329. Subtract, we get 0. We can't share 0 with 47 groups, and there are no more numbers to share in the dividend. So our answer, remember we said that it's going to be less than 1 whole on our estimate. So our decimal will be 87 cents. And we're going to put a 0 to show that there are no ones. Okay. All right. So explain how you use the estimate to place the decimal point in the quotient. Okay. So remember, our estimate was 80 cents. So if that's our estimate is 80 cents or less than 1 whole, right? We know that the decimal point in our answer has to be to the left of the 8. It can't be to the right of the 8 because that would be 8 wholes. And we know that our answer is not even 1. So it's got to go to the left. All right, let's try this problem. So we have 79 and 35 hundredths, and we're going to divide by 23. Now we're going to just think of this as whole numbers. So basically 7,935 divided by 23. Well, can we take any 23s from 79? Yeah, well, 4 times 20 is 80, so it can't be 4. But maybe 3 will work. Let's try 3. 23 times 3. That's 69. So that'll work. So 3 times 23 is 69. Subtract, we're left with 10. Well, I can't share 10 with 23 groups, so I'm going to have to regroup. So I'm going to bring down the next digit. So now we have 103 divided by 23. Well, 5 times 20 is 100, but I have 23, not 20. So I think it's going to be 4. 4 times 3 is 12. Regroup as 110 and 2 ones. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 1 more is 92. If we subtract, we're left with 11. Okay, I can't share 11 with 23 groups. So it was 4. So 4 times 23 was 92. We get a remainder of 11, but I have the 5 still left to share, the 5 hundredths. So 115 divided by 23. Well, 5 times 3 is 15, and 5 times 20 is 100. So I'm thinking this last digit is probably a 5. 5 times 3 is 15. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 1 more is 11. And that does match. So 345, subtract. We have nothing left. Can't share that with 23 groups. And there are no more numbers in the dividend to share. So our answer right now is 345. But I'm taking a decimal problem and dividing by a whole number. And my dividend is in the hundredths place. My answer has to be in the hundredths place. And we can also think of this as 80 divided by 20, right, as an estimate. And 80 divided by 20 would be 4. So we know the decimal point has to be to the left of the 4. If you place it to the right, that would be 34, which would be nowhere close to our estimate. All right, so now we can check our answer. Write 3 and 45 hundredths times 23. Well, 3 times 5 is 15. Regroup that as 1 and 5 hundredths. 3 times 4 tenths is 12 tenths, plus the regroup tenth is 13 tenths. Regroup that as 1 whole and 3 tenths. 3 times 3 ones is 9 ones, plus the regrouped 1 would be 10 ones. Okay, we're moving to the tens. So I know that any number times 10 will end in 1 0. So 2 times 5 is 10. Regroup that as 2 times 5 hundredths. I'll say this right in a second here. 20 times 5 hundredths is 100 hundredths. We're going to regroup that as 1 tenth and 0 hundredths. 20 times 4 tenths is 80 tenths, plus the regroup tenth is 90 tenths. So there's nothing to regroup. And 20 times 3 ones is 60 ones. Okay. So add our place value, 5, 3, 9, 7. We multiplied a whole number by a number that's in the hundredths place. So we know it has to be 79 and 35 hundredths. And that does match our dividend. So it does work. So that's the correct answer, 3 and 45 hundredths. All right, number 1, write the quotient with the decimal point placed correctly. All right, so we have 4 and 92 hundredths divided by 2. And if we were treating that as a whole number, we know that it would be 492 divided by 2, and we get 246. But clearly, we're not dividing by that. So let's just think of this as 4 divided by 2. 4 divided by 2 would be just 2. So I know that the decimal point has to go after the 2. All right, 50 and 16 hundredths divided by 38. Well, and they're saying that that gives us 132. Okay, but we're dividing a decimal, by a whole number. If we looked at this as 50 divided by 50, that would be 1, right? So it's got to be 1 and 32 hundredths. All right, this is divide number 3. So we have $8 divided by 8. Well, if we estimate that, 8 divided by 8, we get $1, right? So we have $8 divided by 8 groups. So we're basically going to put $1 in each group. So I can take 1/8 from 8. That leaves me 0. I can't share 0 with 8 groups. So we're going to move to the next place value. I can't share 2 with 8 groups. So I'm going to have to put 0 in each group. And 8 times 0 is 0. Subtract, we're left with 2. We still have the hundredths to share, so let's bring down the 4. 24 divided by 8, we know that that's 3. 8 times 3 is 24. All right, subtract, we get 0, and there are no more numbers in the dividend. We said our estimate was $1, so the decimal point has to go after the 1. You should be noticing that a pattern here, that when we divide a number that's in the hundredths by a whole number, my answer or my quotient is in the hundredths. And in a sense, all we're really doing is bringing the decimal point straight up when we divide by a whole number. Okay? So remember when we multiplied a whole number by number in the hundredths? Our product was in the hundredths. It's the same when you divide a decimal by a whole number. The decimal point would be in that same location in the quotient. So this one, number 3, yes, we're thinking of this as 252 divided by 3. Okay? But our decimal point is going to wind up being in the hundredths place. So, and we can prove that by saying, what is 2.5? That's close to 3, right? Well, the closest it would be is 3 divided by 3, which would be 1. So our answer has to be 1 or less. And it's going to be less than 1 because we rounded up on the 3. Okay? All right, so let's do this. 25 divided by 3. Well, I know that that's 8. That's the closest I can get. 8 times 3 is 24. Subtract, we get 1. We're going to bring down the 2 hundredths. And 12 divided by 3 is 4. 4 times 3 is 12. Subtract, we get 0. Now, how can this help me? 3 divided by 3 equals 1. Well, that would be the greatest value of our answer. So the decimal point can't go after the 8 because that wouldn't make sense. Because we said our estimate should only be an answer of 1. Well, 8 is not close to 1. So it has to be to the left of the 8. All right, 97 divide 97 and 2/10 divide by 27. We know that our decimal point is going to be in the tenths. We're just going to bring it straight up. Okay, how many 27s can we take from 97? Well, let's estimate first. 97, that's close to 100, right? And 27, that's close to 25. 100 divided by 25, that would be 4. All right, so we know our answer is going to be about 4. So how many 27s can we take from 97? I think it's going to be 3. Let's try 3. 27 times 3. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 2 more is 81. If we subtract that, we get 16. 16 is less than the divisor 27, so that will work. So we're going to put 3 in the quotient. And we can't share 16 with 27 groups, so we're going to bring down the 2/10. And 162 divided by 27. Well, 7 times what would end in a 2? 7, 14, 21, 28, 35, 42. So maybe it's 6. 27 times 6. That's 42. 6 times 2 is 12, plus 4 is 162. Yes. So 6 times 27 is 162. Subtract, we get 0. There are no more numbers in the dividend to bring down, so we're finished with this division problem. Now, is our decimal point in the right spot? Well, we said our answer is going to be about 4. So it can't be to the left of the 3 because 4 would not be close to 36 hundredths. It can't go to the right of the 6 because 36 is not close to 4. So it has to go in between the 3 and the 6. And again, we notice that it actually is straight up from where it was when we divide by a whole number. All right, let's do number 6. Copy and solve. All right, so get a piece of paper and let's write these problems down. So number 6, $7.71 divide by 3. Well, $7, that's close to $6. Divide by 3. So we have an answer about 2. Okay. And we're noticing by patterns that when you take a number that's a decimal, divide by a whole number, all we have to do is bring the decimal straight up to where it's currently located. So how many 3's can I take from 7? 2, right? 3 times 2 is 6. Subtract, we get 1. Can't share 1 with 3 groups, so we're going to have to bring down the next digit, 17. 17 divided by 3. 3 times what is close to 17? 5. And 3 times 5 is 15. Subtract, we get 2 left. I can't share 2 with 3, so we're going to have to bring down the last digit in the hundredths place. 21 divided by 3. Well, that's a basic math fact, right? 3 times 7. Subtract, we get 0. And we said our answer, our estimate should be close to $2. And so even by putting the decimal point straight up to start our division problem, because we're dividing by a whole number, we get $2.57. Okay, number 7. Oh, so let's write that in. $2.57. Number 7, 79 and 8/10 divide by 14. Okay, well, 79, that's close to 80. And 14, that's close to 10. So what's 80 divided by 10? It's about 8. So if I take the decimal point and bring it straight up, because we're dividing a decimal by a whole number, so the decimal point will be in the tenths still. All right, so now let's see. 14 groups. How can I share 79 into the 14 groups? Well, I know 5 times 10 is 50. 6 times 14, that would be 84. So it's probably going to be 5. 14 times 5. 5 times 4 is 20. Regroup as 2 10s and 0 1s. 5 times 1 is 5. Plus 2 more is 70. Okay, so 5 works fine. Subtract, we're left with 9. Can't share 9 with 14 groups. Let's bring down the 8/10. 98 divided by 14. Let's just look at the 4. 4 times what ends in an 8? 4, 8, 2. Oh, 28, that's going to be way too far away, right? Okay, let's keep going. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28. 7. Oh, 7 might work. 7 times 4 is 28. 7 times 1 is 7, plus 2 more, 98. So, subtract, we get 0. There are no more numbers in our dividend. And we said our answer is going to be about 8. Right? Well, we're a little off on that, and that's probably because we rounded up to 80 and rounded the divisor down. Okay, but the point of the estimate is that our answer is in the ones place. So I wouldn't put the decimal point to the left of the 5 because that would be significantly further away than our estimate. And I wouldn't put it after the 7 because 57 is nowhere close to the ones. All right, so 5 7/10. All right, number 8. 25 and 41 hundredths divide by 33. We have a decimal divided by a whole number. All we have to do is put the decimal point straight up in its current location. 25, that's close to 30, and 33 is close to 30. So if we have 30 divided by 30, we should get an answer about 1. All right. So I can't share 25 with 33 groups. So that's actually going to be a 0 there. So let's treat this as 254 tenths. Divide by 33. Let's try 7. 7 times 3 is 21. Regroup that as 2 tens and 1 1. 7 times 3 is 21, plus 2 more is 23. 231. Okay, so that's possible. Let's subtract and see. That leaves me 3, and 5 take away 3 is 2, so that is less than the divisor, so 7 works. We can't share 23 with 33 groups, so let's now bring down the 1. All right, now 3 times what would end in a 1? 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 7. So let's try, we already got 7, right? 231. All right. So we have nothing left, and there's no numbers in the dividend, so this problem is finished. And we said that our answer is going to be close to 1. Well, if we put the decimal point after the 7, 7 is really not close to 1, is it? If we put it to the right of the other 7, we'd have 77. That would be significantly too far away. So it's got to go to the left of the 7. Right? So number 8 is 0.77, 77 hundredths. Number 9, 15 and 61 hundredths divide by 7. Okay, well, 15, that's close to 14. So 14 divided by 7, that gives me 2. Okay, I'm not going to place the decimal point this time. Okay, until the end. Okay, but I know my estimate should be close to 2. My answer should be close to 2. All right, so how many 7s can I take from 15? 2. So 2 times 7 is 14. Subtract, we get 1. I can't share 1 with 7 groups, so let's bring down the 6 tenths. 16 tenths divided by 7. That's still going to be 2. 2 times 7 is 14. Subtract, we're left with 2. I can't share 2 with 7 groups. So let's bring down the hundredths. So 21 hundredths divided by 7. That's 3. Subtract, we're left with 0. There's no more numbers in the dividend. Now we said our estimate would be close to 2. Well, if I put it to the left, that would not be close, because our answer should be close to the 1s. If I put it to the right, I'd have 2 and 23 hundredths. That makes sense. If I put it to the right of the other 2, we'd have 22. And 22 is nowhere close to my estimate. And if I put it after the 3, well, that's just ridiculous. 223 is nowhere close to 2. So we know our answer again is got to be, the decimal point has to go between the two 2's. And if we had just brought the decimal point straight up, we would have had the right answer. Okay. So when you divide a decimal by the whole number, you'll have the same decimal value. So this number is in the hundredths place. My quotient is in the hundredths place. Right, so 2 and 23 hundredths. Number 10. 137 and 2 tenths divided by 14. Well, you see that 137, that's close to 140, right? Let's keep our 14. 140 divided by 14, that's just 10. Okay, so we know our answer should be close to 10. All right, so how many 137s can I put into 14 groups? Well, I know it can't be 10, right? Because that's 140, which would be more than 137. Let's try 9, though. 14 times 9. 9 times 4 is 36. Regroup that as 3 10s and 6 1s. 9 times 1 10 is 9 10s. plus 3 regroup tens is 126. Subtract that, leaves me 11. So that's less than the divisor. So 9. Okay, we can't take 11 and share with 14 groups. So let's bring down the 2. 4 times what ends in a 2? 4, 8, 12. 3? That's going to be too far away. That's only like 40, right? 3 times 14. All right, let's keep going. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32. Okay, so 8 times 4 ends in a 2. Let's try 14 times 8. 8 times 4 is 32. 8 times 1 is 8, plus 3 more is 112. Subtract, we're left with 0. No more numbers to bring down from the dividend. So we have right now 98. Well, we said our answer was going to be close to 10. Well, if I put the decimal point in front of the 9, that would be less than 1. So I'm off by a value of 10 times if I put it there. If I put it in between, I'd have 9 and 8 tenths. That's pretty close to 10, right? If I put it after the 8, 98 divided by 10, no. I'm not 98 divided by 10. I'd have 98. And my answer should be around 10. That's not close. So again, let's look at where the decimal point is in the dividend when we're dividing by a whole number. We're in the tenths, so our answer will have a number in the tenths. So 9 and 8 tenths. Number 11. 523 and 6 tenths divide by 34. All right. Well, let's say this is 600. And we're going to divide 600 by 30. Well, so that answer would be about 20. So we got an estimate of about 20. So how many 34s can I take from 52? Well, I can't take 2. That would be 60. But I can take 1. So 1 times 34 is 34. Well, we're going to subtract. I can't take 4 ones from 2 ones, so let's regroup. And 12 ones take away 8 is 8. And 4 take away 3 is 1. All right, so that is less than the divisor. So let's bring, I can't share 18 with 34. So let's bring down the 3 ones. 183 divided by 34. Maybe 5 will work, because I know 5 times 30 is 150. 5 times 34. 5 times 4 is 20. Regroup as 2 10s and 0 1s. 5 times 3, that's 15. And 2 more is 170. That's pretty close to 183. Subtract, we get 13. 13 is less than the divisor 34. So 5 did work. So 5 times 34 was 170. We're left with 13. We still have the 6 tenths to bring down. So we have 136 divided by 34. 4 times what would end in a 6? 4, 8, 12, 16. Let's try 34 times 4. 4 times 4 is 16. Regroup as 1 10 and 6 ones. 4 times 3 tens is 12 tens, plus the regroup 10 is 13 tens. That does work there. So 4 times 34 is 136. We get nothing left over, and there's no numbers left in the dividend. So we finished the division problem. We just have to put the decimal point. Yeah, in our estimate, we said our answer would be about 20. That means our answer should be in the tens. Well, let's look where the decimal point is. If I bring the decimal point straight up, we would have an answer in the tens. So our answer is 15 and 4 tenths. All right, let's move on. Number 12. Some number divided by 5 equals 1 and 21 hundredths. Well, we know that when we check our answers, we can take our quotient and multiply by the divisor, and it should give us the dividend. So 5 times 1 is 5. 5 times 2 is 10. Regroup that as 1 and 0. 0 tenths, I'm sorry. Regroup the 10 tenths as 1 whole and 0 tenths. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 1 regrouped 1 is 6. So 6 and 5 hundredths divided by 5 is 1 and 21 hundredths. All right, number 13, 46 and 8 tenths divided by 39. You just have to divide, right? Okay, so let's do that. 46 and 8 tenths divided by 39. Well, we can think of this as an estimate of being 40 divided by 40. So our answer is about 1. How many 39s can I take from 46? Well, we can put 1 in each group of 39. That leaves us 7. Smaller than the divisor, can't share with 39 groups. Let's bring down the 8. 9 times what would end in an 8? 2, right? So let's try that. 39 times 2. And that's 78. So 78, take away 78 is 0. So we have 12 right now in our quotient, but we said our estimate should be about 1. Let's see where the decimal point is. We're dividing a decimal in the tenths by a whole number. Our decimal point will be in the tenths. So 1 and 2 tenths. And finally, number 14, 34 and 1 tenth divided by something is 22. Well, we know that the divisor times the quotient gives me the dividend. Well, that means I can switch these around. I can actually divide 34 and 1 tenth by 22. Okay, well, that leaves me a remainder of 12. I have the 1 tenth still to bring down. And that's going to be 5. 5 times 2 is 10. Regroup. We're left with 11. Now, we haven't talked about this, but if I add a 0 after that, it doesn't change the value of 34 and 1 tenth. 34 and 10 hundredths is the same as 34 and 1 tenth. So I can put a 0 there because I didn't have a remainder of 0 yet. Okay, so I'm going to add a 0 and bring that down. Now I notice that 5 times 22 is 110. So if we put another 5, we'd have nothing left over with no numbers to bring down. So 1 and 55 hundredths. Okay. So now let's move on to number 15. May runs 80 and 85 hundredths miles in 3 weeks. If she runs 5 days each week, what is the average distance she runs each week? What is the average distance she runs each week? So that's how much she ran in 3 total weeks. And she runs 5 days each week. So how many days did she run? Well, 5 times 3, that's 15, right? 5 times 3, 15 days. 5 days in each week. She ran for 3 weeks, so 15 days. We have to find out how much she ran each day on average. So we're going to take 80 and 85 hundredths, and we're going to divide by 15 days. Now, if I took the 80 and divided by 10, we get an answer about 8. If I took 80 and divided by 20, I get an answer between about 4. So my answer is going to be between 4 and 8. All right, so how many 15s can I take from 80? Well, 15 times 5. 15 times 5, what is that? That's 75. That's pretty close. Okay, so subtract, we're left with 5. We need to bring down the 8 tenths. And 58 divided by 15. Well, I know it's not 5. It's got to be less than that. 4 times 15. Let's see what 4 times 15 is. That's 60. That's too much, right? So it's got to be 3 here. And 3 times 15 is 45. Subtract, we're left with 13, which is less than the dividend. Let's bring down the 5. 5 times what ends in a 5? Well, there's a lot of possibilities, right? But let's look at what we have done so far. When we multiplied 15 by 5, we got 75. So I'm trying to get 135. So it's going to be more than 5. 6, that's going to end in a 0, right? 6 times 5 is 30. So the ones place would be 0. Let's try 7. 15 times 7. 7 times 5, that's 35. 7 times 1 is 7, plus 3 more is 105. So we're off by 30 there. So that's would be 2 more. Let's try 15 times 9. 9 times 5, 45. 9 times 1 is 9, plus 4 more, 130. So it's going to be 9. All right, and we said our answer has to be between 4 and 8. So the decimal point would go right there. So she ran an average of 5 and 39 hundredths miles per day. 16. Rob buys 6 tickets to the basketball game. He pays $8.50 for parking. His total cost is $40.54. What is the cost of each ticket? All right. Well, $8.50, that's not the price of a ticket. So we have to subtract that from his total amount. All right, so he spent $32.04 on the tickets. And he bought 6 tickets. All right. So I can't share 3 with 6 groups. So let's do 32 divided by 6. That would be 5. Subtract, we get 2. 2 is less than the divisor, 6. Let's bring down the 0. 20 divided by 6, 3. And 6 times 3 is 18. Subtract, we're left with 2. Bring down the 4. 24 divided by 6 is 4. 4 times 6 is 24. Subtract, we're left with 0. And there's no more numbers to bring down. All right. Well, they didn't pay 50 cents per ticket because that would only be $3. They didn't spend $53 on a ticket because that's more than how much we even spent. Definitely not $534. So they only spent $5.34 per ticket. $17. The standard width of 8 lanes in a swimming pool used for competition is 21 and 92 meters. The standard width of 9 lanes is 21 and 96 meters. How much wider is each lane when there are 8 lanes than when there are 9 lanes? All right. So the question, that's what we have to find, right? So how much wider? Each lane is? When there are 8 than are 9 lanes. What operations are we going to use? Well, let's see. If I divide, that'll tell me how much each lane is. But it says how much wider. So I have to do division and subtraction. So show the steps you use to solve the problem. So let's take the first one, 21 and 92 hundredths meters, and we're going to divide by 8. The other one, we have 21 and 96 hundredths, and we're going to divide by 9. All right, so 21, that's close to 24. 24 divided by 8, that's 3. So my answer is going to be about 3. And here, 21 divided by 9 is, let's say 18 divided by 9, that's going to be close to 2. So, all right, so that's just for placing decimal point. So how many 21s can I put into 8 groups? I can probably put 2 1s in each group. 8 times 2 is 16. Subtract, we get 5. All right, so let's bring down to 9 tenths. 59 divided by 8. Well, I know 8 times 7 is 56. So let's subtract, we get 3. That can't be shared with the 8 groups. Let's bring down the 2 hundredths. 32 hundredths divided by 8. Well, that's 4. 8 times 4 is 32. So we're going to get 0 there. All right, so we're looking at roughly 2 74 hundredths meters per lane. Now in the 9 times 2 is 18. Let's subtract, we get 3. Let's bring down the 9 tenths. 39 divided by 9, that's going to be 4, right? 9 times 4 is 36. Get a remainder of 3. Let's bring down the 6 hundredths. And we get another 4. So 4 times 9 is 36. Subtract. So we have 2 74 hundredths. Take away 2 44 hundredths. That's going to give us a difference of 30 hundredths meters. All right, so each lane is 21 and 92 hundredths meters when there's 8 lanes, 21 and 96 hundredths meters when there are 9 lanes. Two and 74 hundredths meters minus 2 and 44 hundredths meters equals 30 hundredths. So the lanes are 30 hundredths meters wider when there are 8 lanes. Number 18. Simon cut a pipe that was 5 and 75 hundredths feet long. Then he cut the pipe into 5 equal pieces. What is the length of each piece? So 5 equal pieces, 5 and 75 feet long. Well, 5 divided by 5 is 1, right? So our answer is going to be somewhere around 1. Subtract, we get 0. Let's bring down the 7 tenths. 7 tenths divided by 5 is 1. 1 times 5 is 5. Subtract, we're left with 2. Bring down the 5 hundredths. 25 divided by 5 is 5. 5 times 5 is 25. Subtract, we get 0. We already said our answer is going to be about 1. So 1 and 15 hundredths feet long for each pipe. And 19. Jasmine uses 14 and 24 hundredths pounds of fruit for 16 servings of fruit salad. If each serving contains the same amount of fruit, how much fruit is in each serving? Okay, this is going to contain the same amount. That's the division problem. So we're going to take 14 and 24 hundredths pounds. We're going to divide it by 16. Well, if we just said 14, well, that's 16. 16 divided by 16 would be 1. So our answer can't be, well, our answer is going to be about 1. All right, so I can't put 14 in any share those with groups of 16. So I'm going to treat this as 142 tenths. 142 tenths divided by 16. Well, I know 6 times 7 is 42, so I'm going to try 7 times 16. 7 times 6 is 42. 7 times 1 is 7, plus 4 more is 11. Okay, that's going to be too far away. That's going to be 30 away. And I can't have a remainder bigger than the divisor, so it's not 7. Let's try 8. 16 times 8. 128. 128 from 142. Can't take 8 from 2, so let's regroup. 12 take away 8 is 4. 3 take away 2 is 1. Okay, so that is less than the divisor 16. So 8 does work. And now we're going to bring down the 4 hundredths. 144 divided by 16. Well, if I add 16 to 128, that's 144. So 9 times 16 is 144. So we get 89. Well, we said our answer was going to probably be less than, or it has to be about 1. Well, if I put it here, 8, that's really not close to 1. If I put it after the 9, 89, that's definitely not close to 1. So it must go in front of the 8. 89 hundredths. Pounds of fruit per serving. Okay, so that's it for our discussion of dividing decimals by whole numbers. In our next lesson, we'll be talking about modeling decimal division, okay, in lesson 5.5. So until then, I will see you soon.